Hello everyone, today I am going to present our work titled as Physiologically Explainable Machine Learning Framework for Hearing Aid Development, which is a collaboration between Macquarie University in Australia and Google Research. So first, background of the work. As you know, the remaining challenge in hearing aid development is to how to meet individual needs in difficult listening situations. To tackle this issue, in our previous work, we proposed a machine learning framework which was based on integration of an inner ear model called CARFAC, or Cascade of Asymmetric Resonator with fast-acting compression mode with neural network. Even though the initial result of the previous framework was promising, the test stimuli were only pure tone. In addition to that, the neural network component of that framework was fully connected. That definitely we would face performance and explainability issue having more complicated signals as speech. As a result, we are going to present our improved version of the framework, which is based on CNN and speech stimuli. Method. Here is an overall view of our proposed framework, and in order to emulate the hearing, as I said, we are using CARFAC model. Normal CARFAC means normal hearing, and impaired CARFAC definitely impaired hearing. So in order to have normal CARFAC, we set a value of CARFAC called OHC, or outer hair cell health value, to 1, and in order to have impaired version of the CARFAC, we should set that value to 0.5, and OHC health value of 0.5 corresponds to mild hearing loss. And the main purpose of this framework is to train CNN in a way that make the output of the impaired CARFAC as much as possible similar to the output of the impaired CARFAC as much as possible similar to the normal CARFAC output. And the output of the CARFAC are in fact in terms of neural activity patterns, or NAPs. NAPs true correspond to the normal CARFAC, and NAPs prediction correspond to the impaired CARFAC. And how we are comparing these NAPs true and NAPs prediction through a index called Structural Similarity Index, or SSIM, which is a well-known similarity index in computer vision. And finally, the loss function is computed by 1 minus SSIM. So here is the architecture of our CNN. As I said, we are using a speech signal, speech segments of 500 time step at 48 kilohertz, and then we have a single convolution layer, 1D layer, one single filter with a length of 21, causal padding with a stride of 1, and no bias. And definitely with this padding and setup, the size of output gonna be the same as the input. So now I am going to present the main result of the framework. As any other machine learning framework and model, first we need to confirm convergence of our model. So we use the batch size of 60 data sample, 3 segments out of 20 sentences. 48 of those sample was used for training, and the remaining for the validation. And here is the loss values as a function of the number of epoch. As you can see, both training and validation loss are converging, and we can see the convergence at around epoch number 100, and there is no sign of overfitting or underfitting. And here is the more detail about the training parameters. So from here we will have a closer look at different sections of the framework to confirm the amplification role of the CNN. First of all, CNN output, which will be input to the impaired CARFAC. So basically we are comparing the speech input with the CNN output at different epoch. The blue line is the CNN output at epoch 1. Orange the blue one is the input speech segment, while the orange one is CNN output at epoch 1, and green one CNN output at epoch 100. As you can see, after 100 epoch of training, the output of the CNN is a well amplification version of the speech input. So to have more in fact detail about this amplification, the speech level was 70 dB, and CNN output at epoch 100 was 87 dB. So this is just the same thing for another validation sample. Again, we can see this amplification of the CNN. Green one is the amplified version of the blue line, which is the input speech. And now I am going to show you the kernel of the CNN, kernel visualization at different epoch. In fact, we had a kernel with 21 weight. So blue line is the kernel at epoch 1, which is still nothing happening, and you can see by adding the number of epoch we can observe the learning pattern of the kernel. And for definitely any speech processing application, we need to look at the frequency response. So the right panel is the frequency response of the left one, kernel frequency response, again for different epoch. For epoch 1, again nothing is happening, but after the model is well trained, we can observe this bandpass behavior of the CNN kernel, which is desired. So finally, we are going to look at the both naps true and naps prediction. So the left plot is the true naps for validation sample 12, and right plots are corresponding predicted one. As you can see, predicted nap at epoch 1 is neural activity pattern is kind of far from the true version, but when we move to the predicted at epoch 100, we can see that kind of these two naps are resembling each other. And finally, conclusion and future work of this work. In this presentation, we could show that this framework could be used for hearing aid development, and this result was a proof of concept for that, and we could confirm the speech amplification role of the CNN. But for the future work, definitely we need to test the framework with longer segment and noisy signal, and also definitely more advanced neural network architecture to incorporate compression and denoising property, and definitely using models of an individual dysfunctional cochlea. And finally, having all those things in the place, we can have hyper-personalized hearing aid development. Thank you very much for your attention.